This is a 2025 Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter. A new trim offered on the new for 2025 6th generation body-on-frame off-road friendly SUV. It's also the top of the line of the 9 trims offered for 2025 above the SR5, TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, TRD Sport Premium, TRD Off-Road Premium, Limited, Platinum, and TRD Pro trims. My name is Robin Warner, and I'm going to show you around and inside this SUV, as well as drive it on a variety of roads to show you how it feels. Gone is the old school nature that endured for the outgoing 4Runner's long 15-year run. How does this new school fit with the overall 4Runner's vibe? Let's find out. I review all kinds of cars, and I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. The base price of a 2025 Toyota 4Runner SR5 with rear-wheel drive is $42,765. Going Trailhunter raises that price significantly, starting at $68,895. That does, of course, include 4-wheel drive. And my test car included one option and several accessories and cost $70,307. All right, with that, now is a good time for me to pull over, show you around and inside and under the hood of this 6th generation body-on-frame SUV. Looking at the front of the 4Runner, at first glance, it definitely looks very familiar when it compares to the limited trim 4Runner I tested a few months ago, but the details really do make the Trailhunter stand out. First of all, we get this bronze Toyota on the front grille, this heritage front grille, and that certainly stands out. Plus, behind it, we have this nice, thick and deep 3-dimensional pattern that is largely open. It's blanked out off on the sides over here, but this is all open. Going down low, we have rigid fog lights on either side, nice and high mounted, and we have a light bar in the center. And this thing really makes a difference. I first saw one of these on a TRD Pro Tacoma, and I was quite impressed. Let me show you what that looks like at night. Going down low, we have this high mounted bumper here. This is plastic, but beneath it, that is a steel front skid plate. That is standard equipment on the Trailhunter. The rigid fog lights are part of the TRD Pro as well, but unique to the Trailhunter is this sleek, low profile, high mounted air intake. This right here actually sucks in air from the back right here and then channels down to get under the hood to feed the engine here. It's also clearly audible when you're driving, something that's very new for the 4Runner. And standard equipment for the Trailhunter is hybrid power. And there you have it, your turbocharged 2.4 liter inline 4-cylinder hybrid engine. 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. It is longitudinally mounted or fore aft like that. The 4Runner is inherently a rear-wheel drive body-on-frame vehicle. And finally, windshield washer fluid is really easy to get to on the driver's side right here. Looking at the 4Runner in profile, this gives you a nice look at the standard color for the Trailhunter. It's called Everest, and it's like a deep, darker teal, and I really like it. Also, there are a couple of Trailhunter specific traits that immediately pop out when you look at the vehicle in profile. Let's start down low. This is a standard frame mounted tubular rock guard right here. We have this ARB roof rack right here. Also, pretty obvious, the iForce Max logo right here on the end of the hood. And then the even more obvious Trailhunter logo down here. I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen so you can see the size of this thing And I'm going to add one more. Ground clearance. This is 10.1 inches of ground clearance, which is a full 2 inches higher than the base SR5 4Runner. You've got some space. The standard wheel size on the SR5 4Runner is a 17-inch alloy wheels. The Trailhunter and many other trims get an 18-inch wheel, but the Trailhunter is alone in getting this bronze finished 18-inch wheel and only shares with the TRD Pro this 33-inch Toyo tire that comes with it, and this is an open country all-terrain tire, not an all-season. And yes, this is nowhere near any kind of sports car. The wheels and tires in back are the same size as what's in front. Looking at the Trailhunter 4Runner from the rear, it looks pretty close to the rest of the 4Runners, except it is awfully tall. You can tell from here. We do have a nice flat piece of glass right here, and it is a power rear window, this piece of glass, and the buttons for it are outside right here. That is lovely. This is one of our accessories right here, $65 for the trailer hitch mount right here, and this lovely little plastic cover that goes on it. All right, let's check out cargo space. Yes, the whole liftgate opens too. And among other things, it actually shows a couple of accessories. First of all, we have this lovely little cargo net right here. It's nice that you have these hooks to hold it in place well. We have this $130 carpeted cargo mat right here, and this $135 retractable privacy panel right here. Perhaps the most important are these two lights mounted on the D pillar right here, these LED lights. These are a $375 option, and as you can see, much brighter than these lights right here to really give you a nice look at the cargo space, even in the dark. It's not the dark right now. Let me show you in the dark. That'll give you a good look at 43 cubic feet of cargo space with the second row still up. So a nice and healthy number. And if you need more than that and only need to carry you and a passenger, that is easy to do. Pull a couple of levers and you have 83 cubic feet of space and room for you and a passenger. And I would say plenty of room for my bike, but let's find out. It is a high floor, so that requires a little bit of extra oomph. And there is this step in the space. It's not a flat floor. But once you overcome those things, slides right in. There's plenty of space. And mountain bikes tend to be a little bit bigger than road bikes. I'm sure one of those would fit as well. So yeah, plenty of space for your bike or whatever else. Let's take a look inside. Nice and high floor. You can get a sense of the ground clearance right here. This is the mineral interior. This is also standard. I appreciate that it's not black. I also really appreciate the stitching you get right here. There's also a little bit of it on the doors, but a lot of this is hard plastic and, you know, fairly simple. But we do have a nicer JBL sound system in the Trailhunter and a really nicely done bottle holder right there. I am 5 feet 11 inches or 181 centimeters tall, and I have a couple inches of knee room here. The seat bottoms are a little lowish, but not too bad. So thigh support is only so-so. And put those together and I have right around a 90-degree bend in my knees. But there's no moonroof here of any kind, so I have plenty of headroom. Appreciate that. And I do also have the second 2.4 kilowatt AC plug right here, right next to two USB Type-C ports. And yes, I do also have an armrest with cup holders. So yeah, life would be just fine back here. There is another look at that mineral color, but up front we do get this Trailhunter logo right here. More space for bottles or whatever, more storage up there. 2-position driver's seat memory right there, just above the usual controls. We do also have a power seat right here with lumbar adjustment, which is always appreciated. and many controls to the left of the steering, including the power lift gate, traction control, that AC power we've been talking about, 4 separate auxiliary ports, and lights down here. We do also have electrically adjusting tilt and telescope right here. But we have one other thing. This is a $160 accessory. This guy is a lamp. The button is right here, and it's got a little hook right here. The steering wheel itself is a reasonably small diameter. It's got a flat-ish bottom, not perfectly flat, but flat-ish bottom, and a nice thick rim, making it easy to hold on to. Plus, we have several cruise control options on the right, media control options on the left. We also have push button start right here. And that lights up the fully digital 12.3-inch instrument cluster. A 7-inch partially digital instrument cluster is standard on the SR5 4Runner. We have this 14-inch large center display that includes wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. This display comes standard on the TRD Sport Premium and higher trims. Also, TRD Sport Premium and higher is this heated steering wheel, except that the TRD Off-Road goes without. So it's TRD Off-Road Premium and higher truly, but also on the TRD Sport Premium. For the summer, it's nice that we have heated and ventilated front seats. That comes standard on the TRD Off-Road Premium and higher trims, and I appreciate the ventilated seats for the summer weather for sure. And the dual zone climate control system is on the limited and higher trims. We also have a wireless smartphone charger and 2 USB Type-C charge ports right there. The wireless smartphone charger is on the TRD Sport and higher trims. We also have 12-volt power right there. Beneath all that is our nice and beefy standard looking Prindle right here for our 8-speed automatic transmission. You notice that we have D, but also S, and that does have manumatic functions built into it. And that is right next to the electric park brake right here and our 2-speed transfer case part-time 4-wheel drive system. We have a couple of nice and big cup holders and a nice little bit of space in the lower storage right here. Looking up, our rear view mirror does double as a screen for a camera back there, and we do have a sunglasses holder and lights and things like that, but that's about it. Remember, there's no moonroof back here, and that suits me just fine. Let's talk drive modes, and actually let's first talk about the part-time 4-wheel drive system. We're currently in 2 high, so rear wheel drive right now. Keep it in park. I push this button here and I move it to 4 high. I get that little graphic right there saying you're in 4 high. Don't need to worry about trailers right now. I push this button again to 4 low. It gives me that flashing indicator right here. I put it in neutral. Now I'm in 4 low. And when I'm in 4 low, it turns off traction control. It turns off the adaptive cruise control, changes the settings of the car, and it turns on the multi-terrain select setup. So I hit that button, and now I can choose between auto, sand, mud, and rock settings for the multi-terrain select system. But if I'm just on the road, I still have drive modes. First, I'll get it back to 2 high. So now I turn this dial and I choose between sport, normal, and eco drive modes. This is largely an on-road test, so we're going to be doing the vast majority of our work on roads, and even if we do get off of pavement, it won't be by much, but we'll have as much fun as we can. To do that, we should get back to the drive, so let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. Where does 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque come from? Well, it comes from a turbocharged 2.4-liter hybrid setup. This is not the traditional Toyota hybrid system here. We do have a full 8-speed automatic transmission that comes with it. The non-hybrid versions of the 4Runner also get a turbocharged 2.4-liter, but no hybrid help. It makes 278 horsepower, and 317 pound-feet of torque. The good news is that it definitely doesn't hurt for fuel economy, and you do get a lot of torque to play with, and it does still run on regular gasoline. As I mentioned, you get an 8-speed automatic with this particular hybrid. Every 4Runner gets an 8-speed automatic, hybrid or no. This particular 4Runner, the Trailhunter, comes with a standard part-time 4-wheel drive system. Also, on the TRD Off-Road, the TRD Pro, and this Trailhunter, we do get an electronically controlled locking rear differential. And overall, I do think it's a good powertrain, but a bit of a unique one. If I floor it, I get pretty decent pull, but I also get a rushing, sucking wind sound from the snorkel that's right over there. You have a much clearer, closer earshot to the engine asking, demanding for air. And because of the way it's constructed, it's a pretty high-pitched sucking in sound. So whenever you're heavy on the throttle, that's a prominent noise that you hear. But it was good pull, and that was also in the normal drive mode. If I first switch to sport, transmission sounds a little bit more eager to be in a lower gear already. Floor the accelerator. Yep. I get a different sound. And it felt like I got a little bit more help from all the electronics of the hybrid, a little bit faster. Nice pull there. Of course, we can go the other way. Go to Eco. Floor the accelerator again. Kickdown's not bad. Actually, pull's not that bad. That's pretty darn healthy, actually. So if you ask for full throttle, even in Eco mode, you're gonna get decent response. But otherwise, you're doing lighter throttle work. It's gonna be very eager to stay in a lower gear. I have a feeling the hybrid system's gonna be a little bit more aggressive about shutting off the engine and just relying on electricity alone. We do have a decent sized battery pack, even though this is not plug-in hybrid, so you can drive electric only in short stints. And being a hybrid does merit decent fuel economy, but not quite as good as you'd expect, especially compared to the Toyota hybrid system setup. You get 23 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 miles to the gallon on the highway, 23 combined. For a hybrid, you'd think you'd be in the high 20s in the city at least. Of course, while fuel economy is very important, it's not nearly as much fun as accelerating. Of course, I had to test that. Let me show you right now. Okay. Time for an acceleration test. See what this hybrid 8-speed automatic equipped Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter can do. 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque, but not the lightest machine in the world. I do have traction control off. I do have it in the sport driving mode, and I also have the transmission in S instead of D. Let's see how it goes. Coming to a complete stop. Bit of brake torque, 2,500 RPM off the brake. All right, no wheel slip of any kind. Good quick shifts, and yeah, pretty darn healthy pull. What's interesting is you can hear very loudly the air coming into the intake via the snorkel over there. I was a little bit surprised that we didn't break the rear axle at all. I was hoping to get just a little bit of tire slip there, but with the brake torque, we did get a good healthy launch, and then the shifts really were pretty darn quick and kept us moving. So overall, yeah, very healthy acceleration for this new 4Runner hybrid. All right, let's dig into the chassis. As I mentioned, this is a body-on-frame SUV. This is also built from the same frame as the Toyota Tacoma, the Toyota Tundra, and the Toyota Sequoia. And that means that we have a solid rear axle, a traditional pumpkin back there. On the other side, we do have a double wishbone front suspension, which is definitely a nice way to control the wheel in suspension movements. This is a Trailhunter, which means we have some more than just the usual stuff. I think it's better explained, at least not on pavement. we have OME shocks on this SUV. Those stand for Old Man Emu shocks. They are 2.5-inch monotube shocks, and they are definitely tuned for being an off-road friendly machine. To that point, we also have 10.1 inches of ground clearance, and does aid in having more suspension travel as well. Just like the TRD Pro, we also have a front stabilizer bar disconnect system, and that allows more articulation in the front suspension because you don't have a big metal bar resisting that. So if you want to really flex the suspension travel's muscles, it's very easy to do. Not to mention the very friendly for non-pavement activity tires we have on this 4Runner. Being on a dirt road does feel more comfortable, a little bit more at home, to be sure. Now, I am not trying to say that this is off-roading by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just trying to give it a little something just to get us one step closer to familiarity for an SUV like this. In this environment, it is very comfortable indeed. It only seems fitting to give the 4-low system a little bit of exercise. Coming to a stop. Neutral. 4 high, 4 low. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely a healthy difference in gearing here. This is 35 miles an hour, 4,500 RPM. How about a little acceleration test? Coming to a complete stop. For the accelerator. Oh yeah. Several gears, 50 miles an hour. Back to 4 high. It definitely gives you a good amount of confidence that you could go much farther off-road and really explore things with, you know, a fair amount of ease. And then when it's time, you get back on pavement and mosey along about your day. This feels just inherently like a capable, strong chassis to do a lot of adventurous things. And there's probably some travel that would take to get to those more adventurous places. That would include the interstate, most likely. Of course, I tested it there as well. Let me show you that. All right, everybody, time for a brief stint on the interstate. And I do have the on-ramp to myself, but I also have all-terrain tires, so I'm not going very fast, but I'm hearing quite a lot of tire noise already. Okay. Cruise control is set at 78 miles an hour to go with traffic. I do have all the safety systems on. I do also have Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, so I have a lot of safety systems to use, and I'll go ahead and put those systems up on the screen for you to see right now. That does include lane tracing assist, which is a really nice hands-free system, and we're going through a subtle curve right now, so I'll take my hands off the wheel. And sure enough, the 4Runner is tracking well, despite its soft, fat sidewall all-terrain tires. Yep, no problem at all. More fundamentally, we have a comfortable ride to be sure. Again, those nice fat sidewalls soak up all the bumps with absolute ease. Cabin isolation, yeah, you know, here's what we have. A very tall, very aggressively designed body-on-frame SUV. On top of that, we have more ground clearance, have a roof rack, and we have an external air filter, an air snorkel running up the passenger side of the A-pillar. So there's a lot of things poking out of the body to buffet around the wind and disrupt the wind and make noise. The tires themselves, they're fairly quiet on the road, but there's a decent hunk of road noise as well. You just don't hear much of it compared to the wind noise. Frankly, it's pretty loud in here. But it is also very comfortable in here. The seats are supportive and comfortable and adjustable. They're also heated and ventilated. This massive 14-inch center display is easy to read and use. It's generally cruising along the highway just fine. And the engine, this turbocharged 2.4 liter, it's spinning at under 2,000 RPM at 78 miles an hour. It stays nice and quiet on the trip as well. The fact that it's hybrid certainly doesn't hurt fuel economy. So overall, it's a perfectly pleasant experience, just not the quietest one you would ever get. So what do I think of this 6th generation 4Runner Trailhunter? It's definitely new school. The fact that we have a hybrid powertrain and all these new gadgets that are all electronically controlled is definitely a change of pace. But for me at least, I still think that this fits what a 4Runner is and should be. The 4Runner needs to remain a capable and adventurous machine that talks the talk and walks the walk. But it also has to evolve. I think that this is a reasonable, respectable evolution of what a 4Runner has always been. That said, I am not inherently an off-road guy. I'm not inherently a traditionalist, so I am not entrenched in what being an old school 4Runner really was. So take that as a caveat. But based on this drive and other experiences I've had in this 4Runner, I can assure you that the capability is there. Honestly, this feels like a comfortable way to get adventurous, and I'm starting to get a little tempted. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.